And now the weather.
The weather. There's been a lot of it about in Britain, from tempests...
It's been windy wherever you've been outside today.
It has been absolutely ferocious, the winds all day.
...to glorious sun.
We could get 30 degrees tomorrow afternoon, which would make it a record for October.
And just as it inspires conversation, so, according to two researchers, it inspires musical composition.
Currents of air are intrinsic not just to our stormy weather, but also to the sound of an orchestra.
The sound itself
absolutely
is moving air. So, yeah, that's a very nice analogy to make.
By day, Paul Williams and Karen Aplin are atmospheric scientists, but in their spare time, they've turned their attention to classical music.
So this is our paper. It's called Meteorological Phenomena in Western Classical Orchestral Music.
It's just a very quirky piece of research. Sorry, Karen, is it quirky? I think of it as quirky.
They studied orchestral music representing the weather, pieces like Nielsen's Helios, which you can hear, and came up with some interesting results.
We counted up the number of composers from different countries who'd represented the weather, and the UK was the highest by quite a long way. And I should add at this point that we found that composers like to represent their kind of home weather. That was one of the findings. The storms that are represented by UK composers, like the one by Benjamin Britten from his 4 Sea interludes, is a very sort of English type of storm with sea and waves and crashing rocks.
Yeah, is it the fourth movement from Beethoven's Sixth? Has a thunderstorm in it, and of course the Central European landmass gets all sorts of these convective thunderstorms.
In general, Paul and Karen found the outlook to be gloomy.
The 4 most popular kinds of weather or meteorological phenomena represented were the grim ones: storm, wind, cloud and rain. So it definitely seems to be that composers have an ingrained sort of preference for writing about gloomy, miserable weather and not sunny, glorious weather.
So classical composers prefer the drama of storms to sunshine and rain. How different it seems to be in popular music.
Once the sun is gone and the pressure's on and the rain is here again.
Sunshine and rain, aren't they the most immediate and striking metaphors that you can use for happiness and sadness anyway? So I have a song called This Endless Rain. You know, it's raining here, it's raining there, this is raining, meaning everything's going wrong.
Songwriter Cerys Matthews. One of her albums, Cock a Hoop, was written in Nashville. How did the change of climate affect her?
I think you start thinking of the bigger topics because the sky seems bigger somehow because you don't have these clouds pushing you down. You see, the clouds make you go into a little room and start spouting about emotions and being internal, whereas when you're underneath this huge sky with the sun beating down, it kind of makes you want to think about sort of a man's small place in this huge universe.
This endless rain makes it hard.
So not a case of sunny weather, sunny songs. Tracks like Louisiana recalled Welsh rain rather than Tennessee heat. Paul and Karen acknowledge the complexities, but their study, limited in scope and with, they admit, a few omissions, is, they believe, a glimpse of a larger truth.
Yeah, the point we'd like to make quite strongly is composers were influenced very much by their landscape and by the weather. And not just composers, all sorts of artists, so painters and people who wrote ballets were influenced by it. And people tend to be influenced by the weather around them at the time that they're writing. So the idea that if the weather changes, they might change what they write about is quite important.
So an overture rather than a symphony, but one that promises an intriguing larger work.
Chris Vallant reporting.